And welcome to another edition of the Thompson's Comic Corner. I'm your host, Zach Thompson, and I have two wonderful co hosts for tonight. I have Chad Smith from the Last Comic Shop podcast,
Hey, hey.
and then we have a really special guest. All right. Have you ever read Peacemaker? Have you ever read Wrestle Heist? Have you ever read End of Life, the Vertigo series? Have you? Because we have, and we have the great writer, and he's a great artist, Kyle Starks, on the show tonight.
Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think I did pretty good on the intro. Usually I always I mess it up somewhere, but I think I did pretty good.
There you go.
You know,
Nice
you
work.
said, you said
Nicely
all the
done.
words right.
I got the name right. There was one where I messed up the name of another show, and I was like, uh-oh. So,
It happens.
and we even talked about it right before the show not to do that, and I still did it.
That's the worst. You put the idea in
That's
your
why.
head.
Yeah, that's probably why you did it. Yeah,
I,
that's
I
fair.
manifested it. So tonight we have a
Mhm.
triple threat. It's for the World Comic Book Championship. Who's gonna win? Is it really a competition?
I think it's me. And is this the fight? Who's my challengers?
You're looking at him, baby.
There you go.
What? How many Eisner nominations do you have?
I'm working on it. We're working on it.
All right, that was the Stone Cold Stunner. I've won the match.
There you go. I have a couple Eisner drawn books.
I got a couple too,
Okay.
somewhere.
Oh yeah, you own. Well, those are good ones. Yeah, those are good ones.
So
right.
now, yeah, you're what, a three-time Eisner Award nominee, right?
Nominated. Yeah, nominee.
So
Yeah,
It's
three
an
and a
honor to
half
be
technically.
nominated.
If we're gonna be.
do they
That's
send you like an
exactly. I
email,
think the
or do you
real
get
honor
like a really cool like letter?
for,
You get a really
for being nominated.
yeah.
Sometimes they don't even tell you. Yeah, sometimes you find out from the internet.
Uh,
There's nothing. I think if you win, you get like a little. I don't know what you win. I've never seen it. I've never been close to it. I've only been nominated, but you know what? I'll take three nominate. I'll take it three and a half. If we count anthologies, we don't have to. I'm three and a half.
there
I
you
think I
go.
carried that book. I think I carried that anthology. I don't. I'm not gonna say names, but I think it was mostly me and my artist carried that book into the Eisner nomination. There's no way to prove that. There's no way to prove whether that's true or not.
Well, who knows?
Yeah,
2026 should be your year. We'll
man,
see how that
I'm going to
goes.
tell you, there's been a couple of years that I was pretty salty not to. I'm always nominated for Best Humor Publication, as you can probably imagine, whether I like it or not. And it's been Sex Castle, Raccoon Mountain, and I hate this place, and I hate this place as a horror comic. Sure shows how funny I am. I do think, End of Life should be nominated for something. I say that humbly. I think the work that we've done on that book, I think it's singular, and I think it's unique, and I think it's good. Um, and I would love for Wrestle Heist to get something, maybe two. I just think I put out two. And Devil on My Shoulder, I think, is one of the best series I've ever done, which is a Bloody Revenge I did with Dark Horse that just wrapped up in 2 months ago, I think. I think they're three of the best books I've done, and they're all very, very different. And it's like, man, I got 2020. I couldn't believe I didn't get nominated for Peacemaker. Like, I was like, how do I not get nominated for Peacemaker in any way? But that's how it goes sometimes. You never know what the people who make those choices are into or what they think. And comedy is very subjective.
Right?
I've only been annoyed. I was fairly annoyed with Peacemaker. I think I'd be really annoyed if nothing, like not one, like nothing, not best miniseries, best new series. I know best new series is gonna be like I have to go against every absolute book. I think, though I'm not sure. I think that was last year for them. I think I might be away from the absolute guys. So I think I should be safe. Lobo didn't get a nomination. Come on, guys. Anyway,
Dodge something there too.
Tower.
I know Zach is super pumped to get into Wrestle Heist, but I wanted to talk about End of Life real quick. Just because I just read these issues in the last week. Zach's like, we're going to
Yeah,
interview Kyle Starks. I'm like, oh, I better read that. The
I
whole
love that.
Vertigo thing. How's that working out for you? Is it going well with the brand new push and getting everything off the ground?
Who can say? They don't tell us anything. We never know what's going on. People tell me that they like it. I don't know. I just asked for what sales numbers were on number five 5 days ago and still haven't heard back. So I don't know.
Oh
We're
man,
doing all right. I think compared to like creator owned books, it is a creator owned book, but we're doing way better through DC Vertigo than I would be if I wasn't with DC Vertigo. Um, and DC seems very pleased with it. I know it's very popular in the office. Um, Working with Steve again after Peacemaker is a dream. He's like it's perfect. He's a perfect collaborator. Look at this. We have a friend sneaking into view. What's going on?
That's right.
It's time for bed. No, all right, okay. So yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, like, what an honor, you know, what an honor.
That's what, dude. I love the book. I love like because like Kyle Starks, your books are a flavor, right? You know, and like you're mentioning with I Hate This Place, you know how it's a horror book and it got nominated for best humor. Like this is very much more grounded than a lot of the other Kyle Starks books, and especially when you add the Steve Pugh art.
Hmm.
But it still hits like with your humor, with your sense of and like, but like you're mixing in serious stuff here, man. Like the
Yeah.
relationships with Eddie Stallion and his dad, and like is that does that come from personal experience or is that just you being
Well,
a good writer?
well, I don't want to pull the curtain back on all my work I've ever done, but I think there's daddy issues in almost every single one of them. There's just certain things that I always go back to, found family, father issues, sort of blue collar, never give up ethics. There's certain things that I do hit over and over again because they're the things that I cared. I want to do a little journey through, right? That
Right?
I want to contend with. So look, there's a lot of dogs in my comics. There's a lot of daddy issues in my comics. Um, it, I just think there's things that are universal that I always try to do as things as universal as possible. This is a very specific one, obviously, because I think end of life, while it's this sort of fun adult romp, you know what I mean? This violent
Right?
hitman sort of heartbreaker. It's also very much about as we age in life. Eddie is at that point in his life where he's either going to quit being a child or he's going to start being a man. I think that's something that we all go through, where we start taking on responsibilities and we start
Right?
realizing there's more than just us. And also at the same time, in that same vein, for many people, for me right now, if not the last several years, and people, I'm 50, so really close to my age, but you deal with the loss of parents, and it's like these are things that everyone goes through. Being fired from your job, having to quit your job for reasons that are stupid, having to move for reasons that are stupid. I think everything dealing with unrequited love, like complicated past relationships. You just want it to
Oh
be
yeah.
something that people can very universally relate to this character, but also he's fighting someone named Big Cock in the streets of the smallest, stinkiest town in the Midwest, and
It just repeats Big
it's a
Cock.
action shoot 'em up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
just it's a shoot up. So
I saw it described as Northern Exposure crossed with John Wick with a
yeah,
little bit of
that was the
Gross
pitch.
Point
That was the
Blank
very
in
first
there.
pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It all works. I love the town. I love the. I'm waiting for Wrong Dog merchandise to start hitting the shelves in comic shops.
There's you have to hit me up at conventions. I have mugs that I made and some prints and some tote bags. What a dingus! What a dingus I am. They still okay. Hard to
Nice.
explain though. Hard to explain though.
That's true.
Yeah, they when they started Vertigo, the Chris Conroy, who I think is one of the smartest guys in comics. He's the editor. He's the head of Black Label, and now he's the head of Vertigo, and he edits Absolute Wonder Woman, like in and somewhere else world, something else world. I think he's in there, but I think he's one of the smartest guys. And when they did this first push, because they wanted to test the waters, which is what me and Condon and Dennis really are testing the waters, because the next run is Ram V and Tom Taylor and Nate Marika Tamaki. It's like heavy hitters. They wanted to test the waters, and what they wanted to do was get creators that they knew worked well together, that they liked their work, and they liked Peacemaker. And they said, "Do you want to do Vertigo?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "We want like the most Kyle Starks comic," and this is it.
That
This is the most Kyle Starks comic. So
is awesome. Um, well, so all right. Last question. I know working with Steve Pugh has to be great, but how much of you wants to be drawing this too? Because you're cartooning. I love your cartooning
he's shaking
so
his head. No,
much.
it's funny because like I do send thumbnails to Steve, because that's how I have to do things when I'm writing for someone else to still sort of keep my rhythms and stuff. And he has said, especially on Peacemaker, he has said, "Oh, I wish I could have seen Kyle draw this," but no one actually wants that. Steve is so good at what he does.
He is excellent.
I say for when we did Peacemaker, I said and I think it's true. I say humbly, I say objectively, which I'll probably repeat, is that I think it's perfect casting. I think we made something timeless. And I didn't realize when we chose Steve Pugh that in many ways it's a modern Kevin McGuire. The way he does facial expressions, the way he does beats, that's so hard to do, and to do the way that he does it. I've now done 10. 16 issues with him, and I've never had to give him a note. That's not me doing a bit. That's not me. And he sends in inks. He doesn't send in pencils. So like, if he messed up, like you would mess up. He's never messed up. He's done exactly what I wanted. And with like character design, he doesn't send in. What do you think of these three guys? He just draws like, and they're just perfect every time. It really is perfect casting. In regards to how well he fits me, and everyone, I've been very blessed in the artists I've worked with that they have all fit the projects. Usually, like Peter Kowalski on Where Monsters Lie and Devil is perfect. Fernando Passaran, who did my Wild Dog story for Brave and the Bold, I think just did an incredible job. I worked with my best friends, Chris Schweitzer and Eric. And everyone, I'm forgetting a big one, and I feel really bad. Oh, Fran Galan. Fran Galan, I think, is an all-star. I've never like he is the most, and no offense, he's the most artist guy I've worked with, and how his mind thinks. But Steve and I are on the exact same wavelength. For whatever reason, I don't have to explain it to him. He gets it. I never have to do a second pass. There's never a conversation. It's really a blessing. He's
That's
so
great.
good.
That's the best comics.
His
When
emoting
people can
is so
come
good,
together.
man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and his stuff. The thing, and when we chose Steve for Peacemaker, there were several options, and one was cartoony, and one was less cartoony. And I didn't. I would be, if they would have showed me Frank Flintstone pictures, I would have known. But they sent Harley pages of Steve. I'm like, I don't know who this is, but it looks like superhero comics, and this has to look like a Peacemaker, because if it looks silly, they're gonna be like, it's a gag strip. It's not. We're not gonna read it, because comedy's not. It's kind of a dirty word in the direct market. But Steve stuff, he's Kevin McGuire. It looks like superheroes. It plays the tough stuff. It plays the action stuff. It plays the personal and the emotion stuff. It plays everything perfectly. I think he's such an underrated talent.
Yeah, everybody remembers the comedy of the JLI stuff with Kevin McGuire, but it was really the emotional stuff that was the heart of that.
But it looked like
too.
A superhero comic.
Yeah,
you know, when
it was
Batman.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it's one of my obviously it's one of my heaviest inspirations, I think, for doing direct market stuff.
Very cool. All right, poor Zach. I apologize for hijacking your show, dude.
Listen, anytime I have guests on here, dude, I don't care. We just rock it out. Like
there you go.
You ain't got to worry about me, baby. I don't care. I'm here for the ride.
Those are good questions. Those are good questions. So thanks for reading my comic.
So
Thank you.
Now I got a really big question for Wrestle.
All right.
Wrestle
Heist, huh?
So when you did the covers, you're definitely like an old school fan, because those reminded me of like the late 90s, early 2000s Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And then you have your story, which is like, what, 22 pages. And then the last 3 to 4 pages is like the old school wrestling magazine inside. Mm-hmm. I'm just tooting your horn right now, man. Like, I'm just telling you, I love that. And like, I like the wrestling questions that you asked in the back. Like, who do you think should have won the championship that never got a chance? Or who is your Mount Rushmore? Or so now, who do you think should have won the championship that never had a chance? You never you never gave an answer.
Yeah, I don't answer any of the questions. I feel like having a little bit of mystery, but no one cares. So no one read it, so it doesn't matter. Well, first of all, you know, I'm really bad at covers. I'm really bad at doing like hero shots or splashes or that sort of design composition. And so in many ways, I was like, this is a great sheet for making sure the covers, I like them, because they're now serving a function. They're not trying to promote the book. You know what I mean? It's not like a great, cool image that will make you want to buy it. Also, legally not the Pro Wrestling Illustrated logo. Legally in no way. Legally in no way. They have like a border, I think, that goes around, and there's more words. Legally, yeah,
it's very different.
It's legally very different. But that was very early. I made that decision when I was doing this book, because I want people to look at it and go, oh, I know what this is. Like, if you know, I feel like that's a great magazine logo, period. And so I think people will see this and they'll know what it is. And if you're a wrestling fan, you'll definitely know what it is. And obviously it serves that function. And the back matter stuff with the questions, I'll answer that one question because I think I have another story. I have a little story with that one. I have lots of little stories. Is that I do think there should be differences. There should be a reason why you buy the floppies, and there's a reason why you buy the trade. And I think there should be added value in both. So for this, I was like, oh, I'm going to put a bunch of back matter in. I'm going to put too much back matter into the floppies. And what I did was I asked a bunch of peers that I knew were wrestling fans or wrestling comic fans that were wrestling adjacent. One of my good friends is a WWE referee, and so he's in there with his son, who's a growing independent wrestler. That stuff's not in the trade. There just wasn't space for it. But something's not going to make it. Quite a bit doesn't make it actually for different reasons. But the other thing is that I was like, oh, I want to do these ads that have their own narrative. So like if you're actually paying attention, you see like the guy who wants to fight in the alley, like it's different. It looks the same, but it's actually different every time.
It's the good old American ass kicking.
It's just classic two-handed American patriotic pugilism. Come learn it in the alley if you're not scared. Behind the adult bookstore on Bell Road between 7 and 9 weekdays. All that stuff. I thought if you were paying attention, it's great. The top 5 list is kind of narratively It narratively applies the things sort of. And there's little articles. Some of them are articles. Yeah, some of them are. So it's like there should be extra value to buying those floppies because floppies are, I think, a challenging way to enjoy comics. And you should be rewarded, right? So, but because of that, for example, Carl in the Alley, that's 3 to 4 pages of ads. If I put them in the trade, that's 4 more pages between each story that I don't want to be there. So a lot of those ads don't make it. Instead, what I did for the trade is that I added a 6-page comic that is not in the story, that's not in the floppies. So if you buy the trade, you get an extra 6 pages of story, which is not, I mean, it's just an extra, right? It's nothing life-changing or whatever, but it's a fun little 6 pages. It's like added value. We're always trying to figure out how to make, now I just want people to buy it multiple times too. But it's like, what's the added value? Because I really do think the floppy should have added value. There should be something that the trade does not have, just to make it worth making that time investment. And because they're more expensive, they're even, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
when it's I don't know what the trade. I could go look. It's right there. But $20 for 5 issues for me. I think it's $17 or $15. He walks away. Hush.
But while he's walking away, I will say some of those ads were absolutely hilarious.
It's
Zach and I were cracking up.
Yeah, it's $17. So it's actually more expensive. Look, I got one right here. It's not even out yet, guys. It's actually more expensive to buy the floppy, so there should be more value in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we get those suplex ads, and then the powerbomb ads.
Well, those are in there. There's almost all of them are in there. The ads are okay. The ads are still in there. Like this, the ones like the ring guy is still in there because in issue 5, the ring guy story plays into the whole great. Yeah. So, but yeah, no. Here's what I've learned. So 2 things. Here's what I've learned. Number 1, that is the peak of my design skills. The peak of my design skills is 1970s vintage wrestling magazine. And I'm so glad I was able to pull it off. If someone asked me to do like really good graphic design, they'd be in huge trouble. In regards to who I think is the best, I had an answer I would have given before I started getting the answers, and they changed my mind, which almost never happens that anyone goes, oh, I think I might be wrong. My original answer was Curt Hennig. I love Mr. Perfect. I'm from Jerry Lawler's Memphis Wrestling Circuit, so Curt Hennig was a local guy. We love him. I think he's one of the best in the ring to ever do it. But enough people said another answer, and I think objectively it's correct. Is Owen Hart. I think Owen Hart is maybe the best wrestler of the 80s. The new generation. I think he's always excellent. He's always great. He's never a turnoff. It's amazing because I skipped that sort of new generation. Everyone's gimmick is their job era cartoony wrestling. I did not like it when I was of the age, and I went back and watched all the pay-per-views because, of course, that's what we do because we're psychopaths. And I was like, oh, Owen Hart's consistently the best thing on the show. He's consistently the best thing. He never fails. And I think he should have been world champion. I think he would have been the best. I think he would have been the best Hart brother world champion for sure.
Oh, I don't disagree with any of that. Let me tell you, that's who I picked. Oh man,
growing up, I was a Piper guy, but Owen had the most charisma of all the Harts,
which is a low bar. Which is a really low bar. But his matches were never a bad match, and he did that thing back then that in the 90s was touted. Like he could make the feuds matter. Like they always had a little more edge because he would work them in a way with the mic or in the. He was great, man. Every feuding unit was in good, even when they were dumb, and he was in some dumb ones. He put him over. Owen was great. I think. There's a tragedy, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But like, I think like it's remiss that he would, I think HBK is tough to argue where he exists in the pantheon of the history of wrestling, I think Owen for that time was right behind him. I think he was right behind him.
Oh, I can't argue that. I loved so when Owen Hart took on Bret Hart at oh man, it's SummerSlam. It was the blue steel cage match. I'll never forget that. I don't remember which one. Don't
Hmm.
don't ask
Hmm.
that part. But I remember watching that on the Coliseum VHSs. Oh my
Hmm.
God, man, that match was a work of art. Owen should have won the belt.
That's a good one.
Should have won the belt that match.
He should have won the belt.
Never gave the
Just
Nugget a chance.
no, no. I think I don't know. I think they kind of didn't like him. I maybe two baby brother syndrome, but the way everyone talked, like Owen was such a little prankster and was kind of a shitheel to everybody. I think, but everyone loved him irregardless. I think it says a lot about him. But to be so beloved and to be given that shitty gimmick at the end of his career and to be thrown into situations where he's mocked, though, I think that's good healed him. I mean, look at Jericho. Like Jericho, more than anyone figured out, if they hate me, it's good for me, right? But I think that he got punished. I feel like he got punished, and that's maybe not true, but it feels like he got punished um, for who knows why, right? Because I think he was the best one. British Bulldog, I feel like got better pushes than Owen did, and like what the that doesn't make any sense. That guy wrestled in jeans for 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
So now when Beowulf, all
Uh
right.
huh.
I just got
That's
to
one of my
tell
characters.
you that the scene where he cuts the promo while ordering the two chicken sandwiches, you channeled a wrestler that, you know, Ultimate Warrior, and I loved that so much. Please tell me he's one of your favorites.
Oh no. Oh no, I like Beowulf a lot. But he so a lot of these characters, I mean, they're very I love an archetype for shorthand, especially in these miniseries, is the quicker like you can get someone in going, oh, I understand this is blank, right?
Right.
I did a book called Where Monsters Lie, and it's like it's about these slasher villains. It's like, well, that's your shape, that's your haunted doll, that's your murder. It's shorthand for you to go. I understand where these guys, who these guys are, what their power level is. I love archetypes, but I like subverting them, which I think I did quite well with Beowulf. I mean, Beowulf. I am not a fan of guys who talk like Macho Man or Ultimate Warrior, and I think that comes across in how Gravedigger feels about Beowulf. Is that at some point, I just want to have a conversation with this guy, and he's doing this. Oh yeah, like it's so obnoxious. He's in terms of no one is the people that they I archetype, which I think is one of my strengths. But he's very much an archetype Macho Man, Ultimate, Kerry Von Erich, right? Like those are the three guys you smush together, and you go, oh, I get it. I get who he is. He's the big guy who maybe doesn't work. That's a bad using Macho and carrying it. Like maybe he doesn't work really well, but he's very popular for no explainable reason, especially when he talks like an idiot.
Right.
I loved it.
Just living the gimmick.
Yeah.
I
Like
love the
living the gimmick.
funeral.
Well, yeah, I think some people have been hit in the head too many times. Like I don't think he's living the gimmick. I think that's just how he is. I don't think he's doing a bit. That's just how Beowulf is.
There you go.
And he's happier. You know what? He's actually sadder, but in many ways, he's happier than the other guys.
He was the most
Just being Beowulf.
self-realized. Yeah,
Yeah,
he knew who he was.
yeah.
But yeah,
He
reading
has,
the
he has
book,
some he has some burdens.
he does. But it was so fun to see, like, because I grew up in the '80s, like rock and wrestling, and by the time I was 9 years old, I was too old for wrestling. Then I got back in college for the Attitude Era, and it
Oh
was
yeah,
fun to see like the archetypes that I could pick out that you were playing with. Um, going through some of these wrestlers. Do you have a particular favorite era though that as a wrestling fan, because you can tell that you're steeped in all of this wrestling lore, all the
yeah.
backstage
I've
stuff.
been I've been a stupid fan for a long time. I'm probably the Attitude Era. Honestly, I'd say my favorite wrestling programs, as my grandmother would say, in the '80s, her favorite program would be the Attitude Era. I loved Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground was everything I wanted when it happened, and I'm a big fan of Chikara, which was an indie wrestling promo that would do that understood story as much as anything else, and would have time traveling arcs. They would have
Oh my goodness!
evil mirror image versions of their four heroes. They had evil mirror versions show up, and there's magical items. It's super fun. There's a new promotion in Chicago called Super Wrestlers that is very similar. They do a show like once, I think every 2 months though. But there's like 12, I think, on YouTube that are free, very good. Those are probably my favorite. Those are the times where I was like, man, I love wrestling. Outside of when I was a kid, I don't think it's fair. It's just like with comics too. It's like, oh, what was your favorite? I was like, when I was 7, like you could give me anything. Like I didn't think
Right.
anything was bad. Like I wouldn't be like, well, though. Like I mean, like uh, George Animal Steel's got a green tug, and that is kind of stupid. Like I thought he was awesome. I thought they were
He
all
was
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, I thought like I don't remember not liking anyone except for the guys who talked. I never cared. I never really cared about Hogan, Macho Man, or Ultimate Warrior, and I kind of loved everybody else. Like everyone else was awesome, but the guys who talked, I don't know. There's something about it. It's just like it ruined. It killed kayfabe for me. Like that's not. If
Oh,
you were in a bar, if we were about to throw down in a bar, and you cut a Randy Macho Man promo on me, you're about to die. You're about to die with your stupid promo. But they are great. Like his are great. Like his are so clever. But it's just
oh
like
yeah.
I never liked sort of the nonsense noise. Those are the guys I never cared for, almost always.
Oh, with
Um,
Hogan, they put him up against Piper so much, and Piper was so sharp and so biting, and like it was
mhm.
hard not to love Piper. Like,
Even I mean, like they have Mr. T cutting like at their peak. He's cutting. He's
oh
out there
yeah,
talking in place, and like Hogan was. I mean, like fuck that guy. Let's. Sorry, I know we're going to say no, but like bleep it out. Like there's, but if we did that, but he is a top tier all time POS in wrestling history. But he's also arguably the most important wrestler in the history of the business, right? And he
oh for
like
sure.
I would never been like I never thought he was bad, and I don't think I rooted against him because I was so young. I mean, I'm 50 now, so I wasn't that young, but I was young. I don't think I ever rooted against him, and I got it. But like, if you were like, let's buy an action figure, I wanted Junkyard Dog. Like, I wanted Junkyard Dog is who I wanted, and then probably some tag team. I don't know, like who would be next. But it's like I never really cared for the guys who were doing a lot of gravelly yelling that didn't make a lot of sense and catchphrases.
Yeah,
But
see,
yeah,
I
I'd say
grew up.
I love the Attitude Era.
See, I grew up in the Attitude Era. I'm 32, so like the Attitude Era was like my kid upbringing in
Yeah, yeah.
wrestling. So like, the viewers can't see this, but you can. I have the Rock's Brahma Bull on my arm. Like that
There
was my
it is.
first tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Dwayne was like life. As a kid, I used to do the eyebrow, my school pictures. My mom would get so
Mm-hmm.
mad. I had all the teeth. I had to remember when he used to wear
I'm
those
mad too. I'm mad also.
when he'd wear those like Versace shirts. Oh man, I had all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of silk like dress up
One of those
shirts.
shirts is one of those shirts is in the comic. Did you see it?
No.
I missed that
It's
too.
it's
Yeah,
it's in the vault in issue 1 in the when uh what's
I
my
show
protagonist's name?
showing the spoils.
Yeah, he's showing the spoils in
Buddy Hansen.
it's in that section. Bunny
I
Hansen,
did
Buddy Hansen.
I did not see that. Oh, and when you said do
There's
people buy it digitally, I bought all 5 issues digitally. It's just
hey.
yeah. So because my
Issue
LCS
2. It's
was
an issue
still
2,
out.
right?
So
Issue 2 is where the spoils are. Yeah,
I
yeah.
did
Look, I
not
don't
know.
want to. Can you see? It's right here in the corner. You have to. You see? There's a little
Oh
shit
yeah,
right
it
there.
is.
There's all
Oh,
sorts of little Easter eggs. There's Stone Cold's vest if you're paying close attention. There's a lot of little Easter eggs in there. I think the G1 trophies in there. We do listen, guys. We're not messing around. We're not screwing around with what we know and what we don't know. The cool thing I think for that brought like, as I would have been in college when the Attitude Era started, is what brought me back was really the dirt sheet stuff. Is
Okay.
how the behind the scenes stuff was so interesting, and that's like when we were found out about like um Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan's wife, and like all the like the click. You know what I'm saying? Like the farewell. Like we're
Oh
learning
yeah,
about all these things that happen now behind the scenes,
there's a
and it
whole
made
different
wrestling.
level.
Yes, it made it interesting in a whole new way, and it's interesting now how that's sort of gone because the guys now behave, right? Because the guys sort of behave now. So now it's like now the dirt sheet stuff is like contract stuff or so and so's unhappy. But like the Matt Hardy Edge Lita stuff when it was going down on the dirt sheets, guys, that was high. That was as high living. So sort of, I actually saw some reviews where people were kind of mad at me for not respecting kayfabe, which I think is hilarious. I think
Oh,
2026 is hilarious.
like the
Um,
security guard. It's like, what do
well, no,
you?
just like yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah, just like referencing like it's not guys, it's not real. Um, they're pretty upset with me, and I'm like, you know what? I never even thought about that because I think we're all mature adults here, and we know I'm fascinated that these guys their job. Like I'm fascinated with the job. I'm fascinated how there's almost no version of this job that doesn't rely on politics or drama. There's almost no version of this job that doesn't have that historically on the biggest scale doesn't have a bad boss of some type, or a bad booker or a bad, promoter, if not bad owner. Like these things are sort of universally interesting to me. And then like you have to arbitrarily they'll put you together with someone else. Like you don't necessarily like them. I think that's fascinating. All the things that could go wrong, all the things that do go wrong. I think that's what makes it interesting is both sides, right? Is that these are real people who go out and do these things. Does that thing work? If it doesn't work, whose fault is it? Why do they keep making us think that this person should be champion? They're force feeding us. Like all that stuff is fascinating to me, and that came about during the Attitude Era. It did not exist before then. That was the boom of the internet, which was great. Famously, like Sunny was the most downloaded woman on the internet. That's how popular wrestling stuff was on the. That's not how popular Sunny was. That's how popular wrestling stuff was on the internet, right? I mean, Sunny's. Listen, we don't need to get into that.
Well, hold on. I got a great story. So when I was 3 years old, this is real. I was 3 years old. Wrestling came to our local civic center, right? Raw was taped. It was the like 3 weeks before WrestleMania 14. So it's the Austin Shawn Michaels feuds going on. All right. Sonny's not there. Okay. But I'm 3 years old. I don't care. I made it onto our local news with a sign that said, I may be three, but will you marry me, Sonny? Like I was hooked.
Good. This guy's working it. This guy's working it. Well, aren't you glad you dodged that bullet in retrospect? 3-year-old.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, you find out about it. No, it is sad because like wrestling is so big, but it's still a carny business. It's run by carny rules. And I was in on all the dirt sheets during the Attitude Era and all that other stuff too. And like the backstage of it all was just as much fun to see what was going on. And yeah, like when you're coming up with your characters, like your Buddy Hansen is physically looks a lot like Paulie, crosses Vince McMahon, and it's just such a terrible human. like
I just said, I mean, historically, because I think like, oh, it's Vince McMahon. I'm like, man, if you know anything about like territory era wrestling, or even any fairly successful promotion, they're almost historically bad. Like especially during the territory days, they were almost historically bad. There was a couple guys, and it's funny. I think one of the guys he owned a TV station. There was one guy who they're like, because they would have meetings like mob bosses. The territory guys would get together because they would discuss like, you can have my guy for this long, but then we want this guy in trade. But it ran like the mafia. But everyone had their own little territory, like as it's called, as territories. But they were all sort of universally bad. There was a couple guys, like one guy owned a TV station, and he was kind of above the fray. And I think it was in Florida. I can't remember. Like people talk nice about like Bob Watts, but I don't think anyone has like. I think he was kind of a shithead too. Like they're all bad. So it's like Buddy isn't any one promoter. He's the worst human on earth, and it's just that's not uncommon for that job. I do think, and again, legally completely different than Paul Heyman. But I think Paul Heyman looks like that guy, and sometimes he was that guy. But I think he like when I think of a slimy. That's the look. You got to have the little ponytail. You're holding on to your last 5 hairs. You're desperate to maintain that masculinity. You're either a bodybuilder or are you like the exact opposite of these guys that you're telling what to do, like physically, which is there's some sort of mental power thing there too. But yeah, it's an escalation. Like, how can I keep making him worse? Like, how bad can he be? He's the worst. There's no redeeming characteristics to him. And I think that's a great.
To Bolo. Why do you have to wear the sombrero sometimes?
Baby Fuerte is the worst gimmick anyone's ever gotten. And I think like if you're again, since we're here, it's like we're clearly in the know. Like that's very much like when Pac came in to NXT, and Pac's not the only one because Vince tried multiple times to do like a Mighty Mouse gimmick. Like here you have like one of the best wrestlers, most athletic guys you'll ever see. And he's like, you know what? But what if cartoon little mouse? Like what if he's the cartoon little mouse? And like. All those bad gimmicks. I mean, you guys get it. Like, you could go through. There's a million of them.
There's a lot.
I remember Velocity. They would put Paul Kendrick and who's the other? But Brian Kendrick and Paul. I can't think of his last name. They would put on these bangers of matches, and they could not get on the main show because they weren't. I mean,
they were SmackDown Tag Team Champs for like 2 years because they forgot about the tag team belts, but. Dude, if you wouldn't have said he's the White Rabbit on Lucha Underground, if you wouldn't have said their names, I would have tell you Brian Kendrick and Paul London. Paul London.
There you go.
He's still out there working it too, guys.
Oh,
Pretty
nice.
good. He seems real happy. Um,
That
but
seems
yeah,
like sarcasm.
because they're little guys, right? But there's a lot of bad gimmicks given out to people we like. Anyone, especially like think about the Mexicools riding out on like it's insulting.
Yeah.
Like
Jimmy Wang
it's
Yang.
not even like Jimmy, but that guy's made money off that, so I think he's real happy that they made him do that. In the long run, I think he's real pleased with it.
You know, hey, you bring
Um,
up the Mexicools though. I thought that was a cool game. Like again, I was a kid, so like I didn't understand. I
yeah,
thought that was cool, and I liked Tooth and I liked Psychosis because I remember them from
I,
WCW.
yeah, sure, they're awesome, but probably having them ride out on lawnmowers is really messed up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, hindsight now, yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah. Like that could have been Lucha House Party. Like there's also they don't all have to be on a team together. They don't, all the Latinos don't have to be on the same team. You know what I mean? Like it's always been like that. Which I kind of touch on too. And some people are like, it is what it is. Like if you watch wrestling, it's always been that way. It's always been that way, and I think it's only just now getting better. In regards to sort of referencing people of color, and especially right now,
Correct.
I think the three best, brightest future stars, three of the top five, depending on where you are, are three African Americans, which I think is thrilling. So I think Trick, Oba, and Javon are amazing talents,
I was
and
about to
I'm
say,
stoked
whoop
to see what
that
they're going to
trick.
do.
But
Yeah,
yeah, they are
he's so
breaking the
good. They're
mold
also
of
good.
what Gravedigger goes through in your book there. Where
Hmm.
I was like, oh, this is he's Undertaker crossed with Goodfather. I mean Godfather. Sorry, I was an
Yeah,
RTC
Godfather.
fan.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like his death
You know
match.
what's funny is
It's funny.
the death match. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so funny.
I wish I had two more pages of death match, but
What were you
it
going to
is
bring
what
in?
it
What are
is.
your weapons of choice with your two more
Um,
pages?
I had some stuff planned. I actually did a fair amount of research because I mean, again, you know, it's the people who don't know anything about wrestling because I tried to write it in a way that if you don't like wrestling, you'd still enjoy this because it's a heist and there are these interesting characters and they have this interesting job, and the job is based on physicality. So these guys are doing action, and that's what we win our comic books, right? But the
Right?
guys who I read it who don't like wrestling, when he pulls out the weed whacker, they're like, "That's the craziest." They're like, "That's the craziest, most hilarious thing," and I'm like, "Yeah, that happened. Like it still happens somehow. Like unbelievably, it still happens." I
Oh
talked
yeah.
to a guy about like really unsettling things that I could have done that weren't. You know, they use like the grommets, like the things on carpets now. You know, yeah. But one dude, he's like, oh, there's a guy who would throw darts at people, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Like that would be something that if you weren't familiar with wrestling and having you like, what, like this is messed up, and that's kind of what you want to have is that this is messed up, but it's an important character moment because lest you forget, this guy is crazy strong, and he's always been crazy strong, and he's old, but he's still strong. And you can't mess with those old guys. The old guys had to prove the business was real, and Gravedigger was clearly right at the edge of that going into what would have been sort of a more modern era. It's sort of vaguely set. The whole thing's sort of vaguely set, which I like. So it's like, yeah, you can't don't mess with Gravedigger because like he's tough, and that's part of the
Oh,
story, right? It's like
but I
Gravedigger
could
is
feel
tough.
those fluorescent bulbs crashing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Oh, it gives me the heaves. Who in real life is like, yes, you can throw darts at me, or yes, I'll land in that pile of thumbtacks. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I can't. I
And
can't
they
do it.
make pennies on the dollars. Like the people that do those, they don't make a lot of money to put their body
no,
through that.
they just love to entertain, man. They just love to
Whew.
entertain.
You can write a book. You can write a comic book. You ain't gotta take the weed whacker to the face.
They like it. Yeah, don't do the weed whacker though. I wouldn't recommend that one. The other stuff, they feel I feel like they got it figured out somehow. I don't know how, but they don't seem too upset about it. So I think they know what they're doing.
So when you did, I want to transition to Peacemaker. So that's how I got introduced to you. And really, what caught me was the cover. So like
Oh
I
yeah, the
have
Chris Enka covers.
yeah, I have the trade dress thing right here. And I'll tell you what, you write a really good John Cena Peacemaker. And like the very beginning where he is in the grocery store trying to tell the
Uh-huh.
clerk who he is and she has no idea who he is. That is I can see that being on TV.
Sure.
Like they need to
Well,
adapt your story and put this on TV.
they will not. It's over. There's no more Peacemaker. Um, I mean, so the way that I got that gig is not how anyone's ever gotten a gig. I've not really thought about Big Two stuff because when I am thinking about a story, I invest a lot of time into it, and if it's all. I don't do theoreticals. I don't have time in my life to be like, what would be a really good Ghost Rider story? Like, ask me to do a Ghost Rider story, and I'll come up with a good Ghost Rider story. But I that summer was Peacemaker in the first season of Reacher, the Amazon Prime series, and that's the summer of Kyle because I love big dummies throwing meat. Ah, I love it. I love it when they're fighting and they're punching and they're shooting. What a great time I was having, and I was really enjoying it. I love James Gunn. I joke that I'm Team James Gunn, but I think we both do very similar things. It's very character driven stuff. There's big action. There's big laughs. There's lots of heart. Um, you know, I think we do very similar things that he gets paid a lot of money to do it, and I do not. And so someone tweeted, a friend of mine, not even a peer, a friend of mine tweeted, an acquaintance, someone who I've met through the internet, was like, why isn't there a Peacemaker TV show? And why isn't Kyle Starks writing it? And when he said that, and I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. Like, this is the guy, this is what I do. I do big dummies trying to be better, big violent dummies trying to make the world, like, this is what I do. Sex Castle, Kill Them All, Assassination is in all of them. It's like, it's a real common trend is I love a big dummy who's trying to be better or accidentally better. So I retweeted it. I can't remember, haha, call me DC, something like that. I'm available, call me DC. And someone called me in an hour and they're like, would you like to pitch for a Peacemaker book? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so we did our pitch. There was no artist. It was just the pitch. And I remember at one point in time, and it shows you like, it's like, oh, this is the thing with comics and TVs and whenever people get mad, like they're not comics and movies. They're two different arms. You know what I mean? And they go, what do you think Peacemaker should be? And I say it should be legally as close to the show as you're allowed to do. That's the version of Peacemaker that people like. No one has ever cared about this guy. I've been reading comics my entire life, and I didn't read the Kupperberg Peacemaker, and he never showed up in anything Paxburg. You know what I mean? Like nothing. Like he's like a throwaway character. Even in Watchmen, he's literally the throwaway character. He's the comedian. Like he didn't even get to be in that fucking movie. And it's Peacemaker. He sucks. But James Gunn is so good at finding a way to make people like things. And the brilliance is that if he did that with Hal Jordan, people would be furious, right? But it's not Hal Jordan. It's this character no one gives a shit about.
Right.
And he found the best version of that. So I was like, well, it has to be that. I did Rick and Morty for 5 years. I'm very good at not aping styles because narratively we work very similar. But I was like, I can copy the way he talks. I know how to make him sound like that character because I have an ear for dialogue. I say humbly, I say objectively. I have an ear for dialogue. Because Rick and Morty is the same thing. Like it has to sound like the show, and legally, it's not the show. It's Black Label, non-canonical Peacemaker.
Right.
But like that's the version of the character that people like. So the whole point was to get as close to it as possible to do another season. Like what I say, I wish it was more DC focused, which is what we got to do. I got to throw literally whoever I wanted in there, which was unbelievable.
Oh, you had some deep pulls in that book.
There was a lot of this. This might be the only DC book I get to do. So it's like, who do I want to use because I like them? I love Mala in the Brain. I'm a big Morrison Doom Patrol fan. Like, I think also having gay representation, I think is great. I love Mala in the Brain. I love Chemo. I actually wanted old school Chemo, like rubber. You know what I'm talking about? He looks like a weird man made out of glass. But they use new Chemo. But I like the old one. I asked for the old one. I didn't get him. I'm trying to think. Red B we couldn't use Vigilante, honestly. And I was like, well, then it changes what that character's purpose is, which is daddy issues. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Going full back, like he's got daddy issues, he's dealing them out. But I've always liked how ridiculous Red B is, and yet he's still in DC's Who's Who, and he's kind of a baller. It's just like a different. It's hard to imagine because we don't know the content, right? But he's kind of awesome. But yes, he only had one B. His name was Michael. That's historic. That's canon. And they added an issue. So I think it was five. I can't remember. It was 5 issues, and then they made it 6 issues. So I had to do sort of a fill-in bottle. The Deathstroke baby thing was from the beginning. I just wanted dangerous babies. I thought it was very funny. The idea of Peacemaker fighting a room full of babies was so funny to me. But like, they're like, oh, we like this pitch. We're giving you one more issue. But again, everything's very intentional. So I plotted out.
Right. You have a story you're writing.
They asked me. Yeah. And so we had to stretch it out. And I was like, I know what I can do. I can do this. It's like, but I need to throw a character in there. And I was like, who do I want to use? that they're absolutely going to say no to, because I think this is really funny. Like, this is a solution. I can think of bits that go along with it. I was like, oh, can I use Snowflame? And I was for sure they would be like, one, who is that? And two, no. And they said yes. And so like Snowflame also, like, he was not a first draft choice. But that's another thing, is like, if I only get to do one DC book, I kind of want to do Snowflame, you know? So a lot of those characters, Demolition Team never made. It's the same. Like, I didn't know who they fought for years. I read DC's Who's Who. I had no idea who they fought, which is Green Lantern. I had no idea. What, like, who are these guys fighting? It just feels like they're fixing streets all the time. Like, what kind of villainy? What kind of villainy are they doing with their concrete pourer? It doesn't make any sense to me. But and that's part of, like, that's what we pull from, right? Is whatever those emotions are, and make it interesting. And yeah, there's a lot of me going, they might not ever let me do this again. So I'm going to try to use everyone that I would like, and that's ongoing. Ongoing, we're still doing that, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. They gave me Wild Dog, they gave me Lobo, they've given me nothing else. We're working on it, guys. We're working on it. We're working on it.
Well, I liked Snowflame. I actually thought he was hilarious. That was the first time I ever got exposed to him, and I thought that was outlandish and hilarious. So I'm glad
Yeah,
I got to use.
He's a character.
I've been reading comics for a long time. There were a lot of those guys I had no idea. I did not know.
Oh no, that's yes. And here's the thing: they're all deep. Like, I love Marvel Handbook and DC Who's Who's. Like, I adored those. In some ways, they're kind of my favorite things, because you could get like a bunch of comics in one little thing, and you look at them and you're like, who's this? Like, who's this guy? I remember, like, in fact, a lot of the early A's in Marvel Handbook are like one guy looks like he looks like a Zodiac character, and another guy is like an Indian, like a Native American guy. Like, I've never seen these guys. These guys aren't real. And it's like, those are the guys you go, but hold on.
I'm just imagining there's like a gap in your comic knowledge because you missed that month of Who's Who. So like there are no G named characters in your books.
There's a,
That
yeah,
sort of
no,
thing.
yeah, that's very, very right. There is a like, there is, because I got out of, I worked at a comic shop until 99, maybe a little bit after 99. And so I was not involved with comics for, so 20, like 10 years at least, right? For maybe more than that. So there's a
Wow.
pretty big window where it's like I don't know all of them, but I know a great amount of sort of D-list villains and characters from Marvel, because it was very Marvel heavy, because it was a superior product from the 80s, the 90s. I don't think that's saying something wildly. Though I will say I think the highs for DC were much higher than. But like, Marvel has like so many obscure little fun characters, like nutty little characters, that DC doesn't really have, and the ones that they do have sort of exist in that period of, even like, it's like Blue Beetle, all these little runs where they were making up new villains. You know, Booster Gold had his own little. None of them are real guys. If I said any of their names, and I can't think of them, and I've researched it a lot, you'd be like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, yeah, he was Booster Gold's villain. You know what I mean? Like, and like,
Yeah.
if you knew who all those guys were, you'd be like, that guy, I know who, because we know all of Flash's rogues gallery. You know what I mean? Like, I could name Flash's rogues, and you'd be like, I know them. But
Right.
like these other guys, it's like, those are the guys that you want to know for the sake of stuff like this, is because you could play with them in such interesting ways. And also, in some ways, though, is like the characters that I love don't sell issues. And it's always been that way. Just because I'm from a bad era of comics where I love the little guy, I love the dinky little, I love like Leapfrog, like all the versions of Leapfrog. He was
Oh,
a
there you
villain,
go.
and then there's a second Leapfrog who was also a villain, and then there's a third guy who tried to be a villain, but he's just a redheaded kid who ended up being a good
Yeah,
guy.
it's just
Like,
this kid.
I love that stuff, and DC doesn't have a ton of that, which I think is really fascinating, because the guys who are usually in those positions are kind of just outright awful. Like, they're just not good. They're not characters that you could ever care about, even with work, because they look awful. But anyway, I don't know why I tangent off on that, but yeah, we like comics, guys. Listen, we like comics, we like wrestling, we like them both. We like them both a lot, and yeah, oh yeah, because of Peacemaker. Yeah, I was like, this could be the only one I get to do. So I'm gonna try as many things as I can.
Well, I find that really cool that they let you just have free roam and just go with it. Was there anything that you pitched that they said no? No?
Well, yes, but it's not related to that type of thing. So one, it's Black Label, which favors me because it's not canonical, right? Um,
Yeah.
Technically, anything can happen in Black Label. It doesn't matter. But originally when we pitched this, it was Vigilante, Eagly, and Peacemaker, and Eagly would have been kidnapped by Mala in the brain, and that would have set the whole story as the story is, right? But they were like, you can't use Vigilante and Eagly. And the reason why that is because of the co-written with Team Seeley book that just came out, is that James Gunn was going to do a Vigilante and Eagly book, and they didn't want him to step on toes. So I was like, well, the premise of my book is that his pet gets stolen, and he will do what he has to do to get his only friend back, right? And like, yeah, you can't use that character. So I was like, okay, well, we have to replace that character. And I was like, can I use Ace the Bat Hound? Ace the Bat Hound gets kidnapped. Whatever reason, like Peacemaker is the one who's going to go do it and find about it. I was like, that's our solve. Ace Bat Hound's perfect. And they go, no, you can't use Ace the Bat Hound. And this is
Too high
why.
profile.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's not because it's high profile. They go, this is why. Because no one in the Bat family would ever allow that to happen. Alfred wouldn't allow it to happen. Barbara wouldn't allow it to happen. Dick wouldn't allow it to happen. And I
Tim
was like,
Drake would
listen,
be there.
I hear what you're saying. That dog's in a cave right now. I don't know who's walking it. I don't know who's feeding it. That is the worst. Look, Bruce Wayne is the greatest hero in comics history. He's a terrible dog owner.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that.
Just
BS.
think about Harold, man. Just Harold living in that
is that the
cave.
cow?
No, Harold was
Yeah.
the hunchback
Oh,
guy.
yeah. Listen, terrible pet owner. He's not empathic. You have to be empathic to have a good pet. So my follow up was, I was like, well, we're doing this pet thing. It has to be a pet thing. I was like, what about Rex the Wonder Dog? Do you know who Rex the Wonder Dog is? He could ski,
Nope.
just so you know, but he was a
Is that
70s.
Metamorpho? Or no?
No, he was
No,
he had his own titles. He had his own title. He was just a dog, but he could like ski and open doors, and I think he was maybe a TV star. It's like Rin Tin Tin as a superhero. And I can't remember why we were like, no. I think maybe it was a little too, just as you saw right now, like maybe a little too being clever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, I can't use any of these things. If this is my only DC book, what is the funniest thing I could do? And that is, if you Google Bruce Wayne under creators, it will now say Kyle Starks, because I made Bruce Wayne in the DC universe. He just happens to be a dog. So we ended up going with Bruce Wayne because I thought it was hilarious. And I wanted very badly to do the sort of misunderstanding bit with Amanda Waller, which I thought for sure no one would think was that funny and maybe wouldn't work on page. Yeah, and it came out great. It's probably my favorite thing of that book, but it only works because the dog's Bruce Wayne, right? And because Amanda knows and no one else knows. And yeah, so that was the only thing they said no to me on. The only thing they said no was no Eagly, no Vigilante, and no Ace the Bat Hound.
He has a cute nose, and he dresses like a fancy boy.
Yep, he looks like he's a fancy little boy, and who's the fanciest little boy in all the DC universe? Bruce Wayne. He always wearing a tux. Everyone knows that.
So funny. That book,
man.
like I said, like you nailed that perfectly. Like the John Cena Peacemaker, you really did. And like the fact that he thinks that instant cake mix that's it. He doesn't need anything else. He's like, what do you mean I need eggs?
Yeah, he's not smart.
That's so funny.
You need all that stuff. He's trying to he's going to put his protein shake in it and make muscle cake. And at the end, he does make muscle cake. They have a muscle cake birthday cake for Dance Stroke. You got to be paying attention to that at the end too. You got to be looking at all the Easter eggs. There's protein. There's both mixes on the counter.
You're gonna make me have to reread it again. And I just reread it not that long ago for this.
We threw some stuff. And then End of Life has some of that stuff too, and a lot of that Steve. Someone was it you that was like, oh, there's a Peacemaker Easter egg in End of Life. Someone was like, oh, there's a Peacemaker, and I was like, really? I was like, I don't. I mean, I wrote that book. I wrote those books a long time ago. But in issue 2, when they're at the farmer's market, there's red bee honey. And it's like, oh, that's pretty funny. I was like, Steve did that. I didn't do that.
That's awesome.
That's a Steve joke. I might have done it. Like I don't want to go look at the script. I may have done it. I'm pretty sure that's a Steve joke.
So how long does it take you to write these books? You said you wrote it a while ago. So like,
so the Vertigo, the window for when Vertigo is going to happen has been going on for a long time. I believed it was going to come out February 2025. And then I April 2025. And then they told me November 2025. So we started sometime early 2024. I have 11 issues written, and we have 10 issues drawn, and we are way ahead of the other two teams. But we started, we started before everyone else, and they kept moving when things were going to happen. So I know Dennis is not near as far as we are, but there's only 5 issues out. You know what I mean? So if he's on 6 or 7, like that's great, and he probably is on 6 or 7 or even 8. Like we're on. I turned in 11
Oh
2 weeks
wow.
ago.
I was
So
gonna
we're
say,
guaranteed 12 issues.
is it wrapping at 12? Because I had seen
No,
interviews with you
well,
before.
we don't know.
Okay.
It's an ongoing. They're all ongoings, but the market will decide whether it's an ongoing or not. That's just the way things are. We were contractually guaranteed 12 issues.
Okay.
Um, I was just asking for sales numbers. Because if we're like I have an ending for this book. Uh, what I believed was going to happen. I have no reason, based on my unfortunate history of comics, to think I'm going to get a 30 issue run. I don't know why it would happen now. I could barely sell the 5th issue of Wrestle Heist, which just came out this year. Um, so my my being says, why would there be more than 12 issues? But I don't know what sales numbers are. I know issue 1 did pretty well. I know that my fall off in Wrestle Heist was shocking, and how there wasn't much fall off. There just wasn't many. It was a low number, but I sort of amazed because with Rock Candy Mountain and other series, even the 4 issue with the Dark Horse are tough because Dark Horse is so bad at promoting things. But like issue 4 eats crap, right? It's a major fall off. And it didn't happen with Wrestle Heist. And I think the Vertigo books are sticking, not at number 1 numbers, of course, but number 2 was
Right.
pretty decent. And I think if we're still hanging around number 2 issues today, and I think my hope is they're going up via word of mouth, because I think it's the type of book people talk about. I'm not for sure a lot of people were picking it up. Though a good number did. I think it was my highest number 1 ever.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. So as long as it justifies it, it's an ongoing. That's the whole point of these Vertigos, and why they pick these teams is because they want retailers. DC is so smart is that they reach out to retailers, and the first thing was like, why do you think manga is selling so well right now? Retailers barely even sell manga, so what do they know? But that's neither here nor there. I say we love our retailers, but the retailers are not the experts of why manga is doing well or not. And basically, what they said was, "Oh, because they're cheap and they're small," which is
Yeah.
not why manga is selling well. Which is not, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt because comics should be cheap. I think we all agree. It's like they're at their best when they're at their cheapest. But so DC goes, okay, they're small and they're cheap. Let's do this thing. And they did compact comics, which I don't think it's going to work. It worked magically.
Oh,
Compact comics are awesome.
they are
Part
eating
of why
Marvel's lunch.
They're great.
they're so great because and they accidentally do the thing that is great about manga, which is that it's one good story. You know what I mean? When you pick up, we'll say Arkham Asylum. I don't know if that's a compact comic. By the way,
It
Peacemaker should be a
is.
compact comic. Everyone agrees.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees. Peacemaker. Everyone agrees it would be
Agreed.
perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect for the
I'm
format.
cool with it.
End of life.
Everyone
Rush that stuff
everyone
out there.
agrees. Well, they want to be those one shots. You know what I mean? Like it's just
I
one
guess
full
it's done
story.
in
It's one
one.
experience. Yeah. So if you go, oh, I'm interested in Batman. I'm gonna pick up one of these compact comics and say Batman on it. It's a good story. It's a historically good story. I want to read the Flash. There's two of them, three of them. They're good. Guaranteed, it's the full story. You don't have to know before. You're going to know what's happening, and that's what manga people like. The lore and the gatekeeping and how much you think you need to know to read and enjoy comics, which isn't necessarily true, depending on what you want to get into, right? So that's why they work so well. Well, the other things retailers said, they said, what we think the problem is with comics today is there's not long runs with the same creative team. Like we had Byrne and Claremont, we had Simonson on Thor. We need these we used to have full Byrne on Fantastic Four. We used to have these
Oh, yeah.
runs. And so they go, okay, well, we'll try it. How can we do that? We're going to pick teams that we know like each other, and we're going to give them ownership of it in some degree, where if it's successful, it's worth us sticking around for, which it is. Also, we like it. You know what I mean? Like these are stories that we
Right.
like doing. So that was the hook, is that these are going to be ongoings. They told retailers they're ongoings, but who decides whether or not a book's ongoing or not is the retailer. So it's kind of put your money where your mouth is. If you're a retailer, is that you're
Right.
finally getting what you said you think you need. And I think objectively, I think they're all good books. I love Condon and Phillips' book. I think it's so fun. I love this book, and they're all unique and they're different. But yeah, so that's the thing, is like in theory everything's ongoing. I'm guaranteed 12 issues, and then we'll see. I think they're in. I'm not supposed to say anything, but I think there's discussion happening now in regards to whether or not they go on, because if you stop at 12, DC didn't really put their money where their mouth is, saying that we're doing an ongoing. So we'll see. I love every issue I've done. I think they're perfect. I think it's a great story. If it ends at 12, it's not heartbreaking to me. If I do 36 issues, I'm ready for it. It's always been there. It could go
That's
either way,
awesome.
you know. Yeah.
And it is such a great book. I'll put the push out there for it just because you get the absurd ridiculousness of all the hitman stuff and Big Cock and these people just
Mm-hmm,
showing up in the middle of the Northern Exposure Town. I know it's Pluto, but
mm-hmm,
these
mm-hmm.
people showed up in the middle of nowhere and like, oh, there's another gunfight at the gas
Here,
station again
here's
last night.
here's another one.
Right
Why does
underneath
this
the
keep
specials at
happening?
the restaurant. Yeah,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but like all that stuff is hilarious, and then you mix in the heart, and like you said, I don't know how much this is true, but I feel like I've grown up with comics and like they're not trying to sell to a lot of kids anymore. Although that's changing recently, but they're aiming at middle aged guys, and like we have parents that are older, we have parents that are going through some stuff, and like a book that addresses that but can do it with humor and heart and make it fun and that little tinge of romance that's going on in the background, like everything you would want is in this book, and so I hope it succeeds for you, man, because it's been a
Yeah,
ton of
me
fun.
too. I think a lot of the new readers are in that sort of 20 to 24 age range where it really is historically a place where you're like at some point you have to be a grown up and it sucks. You know, are you
Yeah,
easily? And that's a difference. Like those that character's in there too. Like Sophie clearly has always taken to being someone who wanted responsibility and cared about other people. And I think that's a universal thing too. Um, I think it's a mini like I think the best stories have everything in them. I think they're a little funny, there's action, et cetera, et cetera. Um, uh, and I think End of Life does that. So
yeah. No, I go back to JLI, and man,
I
like
love it. Yeah, I love it.
that's one of my first books I picked up as a kid, and like you had the superhero stuff, like you'd have Despero showing up and like, oh my goodness, but you also had Kui Kui Island, you also had and just the relationships between the characters, like the
Yeah.
Giffen, DeMatteis, I always mess up his name pronunciation, McGuire, and Adam
Yeah.
Hughes, and everybody, like that book, it
Mm-hmm.
just sang. And so, if you get a chance to make something on par with that, man, more power to you.
I think I'm extremely character driven in my storytelling, and it's because like that is, I mean, JLI is a superhero book. They fight a ghost that takes over a town. Like there's a supernatural spirit is their first thing they fight. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like I like these people. I want to spend time with these people. When I think about my favorite X-Men things, it's never who they fought. It's I loved it when they played baseball. I loved it
yeah.
when
Oh,
you know
those
what I
issues were
mean.
great.
Yeah, I think that's something that's remiss from sort of the current age of Big Two. Though I think it's clear it's in the absolute stuff. Is that the reason why we like these characters? Is not because they did something cool or they fought somebody awesome. It's that we relate to them or we just think they're awesome. Um, and because of that, that's how I tell stories because that's the stories I like. I care less about what people do and more of how they do it and how we feel about it. Right.
Yeah, it's how they make you feel. It's the stuff you remember, not
Yeah.
what happened. Yeah, man, I get it. Yeah, and you were talking about some of the comic stuff these days with like Marvel. They can't even do a 5-issue miniseries with the same creative team. So, but yeah, to see DC have a commitment to creative teams, like that's something. As a kid growing up with comics, like you embrace those creative teams. You knew those people. Like that's another complaint I have with comics these days.
Yeah.
You rarely get people with styles. Like I can pick up a Kyle Starks book and know that's a Kyle Starks book instantly. In the '90s, you knew your Liefelds and your McFarlanes, from 20 feet away. Today, everything gets sort of homogenized, but I see a lot of it changing with stuff DC's doing. So I'm hoping more of a second.
I think everyone is finally starting to soften on sort of aesthetic differences. Like I remember when I sort of broke in, uh, Eric Henderson was doing Squirrel Girl and Joe Quinones was doing Howard the Duck, and people were like, "It's just too cartoony." And I was like,
Oh,
"Are you insane? Like
I love
these are
those
the best
books.
run comics." I remember seeing a forum around that time where people were like, "Chris Samnee is so cartoony." I'm like, Chris Samnee might be the best guy doing it
Oh,
right now, guys.
oh,
But I think it's taken this long for people to catch up with that. Because now we have like dorks, like there's just like, dude, Absolute Martian Manhunter would have been burned to the ground 5 years ago.
With the
5 years
Martian
ago,
Bishop.
that would not. All of it, they're like it's weird. The art's weird, but now it's like there's something about 2025, 2026 where people like this is amazing. This is unbelievable. And it is. It really is. And that we reached a point where even I think Hayden Sherman would have gotten shit, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I think he would have gotten shit. And that's crazy to me.
Dude,
but I think he would have.
His Dark Patterns, I'm like, this is like Norm Brayfogle cross with like it, but it still feels modern.
We have sang his praises on Chad's show,
dude.
on my show. I mean, on the social.
He's unbelievable.
All
of those guys are great on Absolute. They were so smart about those teams they put together. But yeah, I think there's things like my uncle sells gold. I was just talking to my uncle who sold Golden Age and Silver. Tony Starks, haha, that's his name. And we were talking about I think Booster Gold came up, or Luke Power Man and Iron Fist. I was like, Booster Gold had a 53 issue run, and Power Man and Iron Fist did 100 issues. Like that's insane to me. In 2026, is that I feel like 12 issues is an unbelievable honor, and a lot of that is because it used to be there was only so many titles, right? And so they're putting Booster Gold out, and it's selling well enough to keep putting Booster Gold out. And eventually, the readership grows at some point because everyone's like, "Oh, this is good," or they go, "It's bad," and finally it dies out. You know what I mean? Like that's just how. Does anyone know how many issues Guy Gardner's Warrior did? I bet it did like 30 something minimum. Like, can you imagine a minor character getting 30 issues in 2026? But again, that's a combination of probably trade waiting, stores, like what stores are pushing, because what can they sell? That's part of what they can sell.
Right.
And that's even next level, the next level stuff from DC is an attempt to go, it doesn't have to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Like we have other cool characters that you guys don't know about. Well, here they are, they're cool characters. And I believe all those books are ongoing. I don't think they're locked in, which we aren't necessarily locked in. I mean, if Steve wanted to stop, he could. I don't know how to work the logistics of it, but like we do own it, whereas they don't own Deathstroke and Lobo and Batwoman. Right. You know what I mean? But I think those are they're going to be ongoing as long as the market carries it. And it's like, well, the market's so weird, but it's strong right now thanks to Absolute. It's so weird, and DC can pull stuff off because they're the most reliable in terms of quality. I would love to see, I think Marvel's, because you'd said this, I think Marvel's mandate now is nothing longer than 10 issues. I think it's their mandate. It has to be selling unbelievably well. And I think if we do that, we should stop calling them volumes. We should start being like seasons, right? Don't you think?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
There's a different way to present them where we wouldn't be like, oh, there's a new number one. It's like, yeah, it's season 2, number 1. Like that's what it is.
I'm a big proponent of the legacy numbering underneath, because at this point I've gotten so confused. Yeah. Like it's like, oh, I know I need volume 2 of this. Which volume 2? There's 35 volume 2s of Spider-Man out there.
Yeah.
Oh, Spider-Man's
even getting a new reader
messes me up.
Yeah.
I was talking to the guys who are doing Flash now, and like their legacy number is coming up in like a year. That's a crazy number, 3,000 or something. Do you know?
Flash? No, it's got to be like in the 800s or 900s or something, right?
No, maybe it's something. It's such a high number, and I'm like, really? I think it's higher than that. I think it's higher than 800. But I could be wrong. Because I was talking to one of the artists, and it's like, oh, I think he's like a year from now we're gonna be maybe it's 1,000, maybe it's 1,000.
Okay. Dude, yeah, I've been following that book since the Next Level stuff with Ryan North, and is it what's the artist?
Guidry? Yeah, I was talking to Gavin Guidry,
yeah,
and I was like,
they're killing it.
That's
sitcom.
Crazy. Dude,
it's a superhero sitcom book. I love it.
Ryan North is such a great, because I think Flash is one of those characters. I love how we're talking about everything. Hey guys, Russell Heist is good. Listeners, Russell Heist, End of Life is still going, and pick it up. Is that the thing about Flash is that I think he's a character that is kind of a smart guy book that is like Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four doesn't. It's a smart guy book. Like if you don't have the science stuff in there, it's really critical to the character. And with Flash, like the powers, the physics of his powers is really something that we find the time, all that shit, right? And Ryan North is perfect for that because he actually knows that shit. He actually knows that shit.
Dude, I've been following him since Squirrel Girl. Never. He's the best.
Yeah, he's great. He's better at writing page. I drew a page for him for Squirrel Girl, and he's better at writing pages now. No, it's the Mole Man. It's like issue 7, I think. It's the Mole Man issue. It's a 2-parter. Drew is the first time I was asked to draw a page because it's a flashback. So Erica wanted someone else to draw the flashback page, and it's a Fantastic Four and Mole Man, and that was the second thing I'd ever drawn for Marvel. The first thing was Galactus on a Squirrel Girl card. What a resume!
There you go. That's a great start, at least in my book. I'm the one who really appreciates all the Squirrel Girl stuff. So
I've never read
Squirrel Girl's great, man.
Squirrel Girl, so
I love it.
Yeah.
it's. I think the Eric Henderson. I don't want to Derek Kim. I think followed her up, but Erica's work on it
Charm, yeah.
is so good.
But yeah, and you brought up all those books from 2016, which I was really frustrated because they all got new number ones, like 6 issues in. But like that was my last favorite time at Marvel.
They were, dude. They were mad. They were furious. Like I know Eric. I know they were mad about it too.
Yeah, but they had
something happened. In fact, she was just talking about it. I don't want to speak for someone else, but they had to change the arc. I think because they're like we're starting a new number one, so it wouldn't be in the trade. Like there's a thing that's like, well, they had to change it. They had to change like issues 5 or whatever. Yeah, which just, but frankly, that's a lot of big two stuff. I wish I could remember what she said, but they were mad. Like they just decided it. They just decided there was some arbitrary reason that they're like, this is what we need to do, and no one was happy about it except for
like Secret
Marvel.
Wars. But they had the Sanford Green
maybe it was Secret Wars.
Power Man and Iron Fist, and it was such a creative time.
I don't know if that was a Will Moss book, but all the other ones were editor Will Moss.
Okay,
like, what a great Chip and Quinones, on Erica Howard. And Ryan Norton. Like what great, like how smart do you have to be like these are the teams, these are the teams. I don't know if Power Man, but Sanford Green's so good. He's perfect for Power Man, Iron Fist.
Oh yeah,
Will Moss he's a real smart. He's another guy who I think is real smart. Is going to do big things, bigger things than they're doing now at some point.
Nice.
So and Marvel needs it. God bless them. They need something. We love you. Know what they need? Go. Maybe some Kyle Starks. Get some Kyle Starks in there, guys.
Yeah, let's get some Kyle Starks back in it. So
I did it again. Sorry.
Is still cooking. Sorry. Wrestle Heist. You guys got to pick up the trade. Anything else? Any other irons in the fire coming up? We should be looking out for.
Webs.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other Kyle Starks irons in the fire we should be looking out for at our local comic shops these days?
Literally, the only thing that's coming out regular right now is End of Life. It's been a weird time for the industry. I'm about to do a Kickstarter, probably starting at this point, end of July, for a book I did in post-COVID. That's a one-shot. I could never get it printed, so we're finally going to put that out as a Kickstarter because I just did Where Monsters Lie 3 as a Kickstarter. The Where Monsters Lie series is being collected in an omnibus the beginning of next year, which I'm very excited about. It will have the third chapter that was only self-published, which you can get that book on my store. If you guys really want to read volume 3, it's super good. KyleStarks.com. I got stuff on there. You can get it digitally too if you're into that. But that's all right now, man. Like we're kind of the industry, as we were talking about before we start here. Like I did not make the money that I was expecting to make on Wrestle Heist, and it causes a problem in regards to how I make choices to feed my family and to pay my mortgage. I feel like for the immediate, it's all that matters. And like, we want to be in bookstores, but in the immediate future, like I'm considering self-publishing. That being said, we always be pitching. I'd love to do more DC. I've made it very clear with them. We're still trying to make it clear with them. I think not because I think DC, everything I've made there, I've enjoyed making, and they've let me cook. And I think, I want to not do a comedy book. I'd like to show people that I can do, because comedy is kind of a dirty word. Like I want to do, name it. You know what I mean? Name it. I want to try it. Because I think outside of maybe some space opera guys, I don't know if I could do Green Lantern. It seems like maybe not my type. I'm very character driven and that sort of thing. But I think what's missing from modern comics, but I think Absolute shows it, is that we've quit trying to sell people these characters and just go, they know who Storm is. Like they don't know who Storm is. If you go 6 issues and you don't have any character stuff, there's nothing to care about. Like the story is cool, but give us a reason to care about these characters. And I think that's something that I offer, whether it be fun, like give me Guy Gardner, give me Booster Gold, give me Blue Beetle. We would love Blue Beetle. Come on, give me Absolute Nord. I don't give a shit. I did it 3 times. I'm sorry. That's 3 curses, but that's good for me. That's really good for me. But I want to try to do other stuff because I think I'm a good writer. I've done horror and comedy. I think I've shown I can do different genres. And so we're pitching, but as of right now, I have a Kickstarter coming up. The next thing I'm planning to do, I'm going to serialize online and then collect in a Kickstarter because it's worked for me. It's always worked for me. I get to make things the length I want to make them. I'm not limited to 22 pages or what I can afford to pay a colorist, which is a big part of the challenges, right? So yeah, that's the plan right now, which is a really disappointing answer. But I think also probably the next couple things I make will be very free and therefore be super good because of that.
Well, all cool. Right. We're all about the good stuff.
Well, I can tell you that at the time of this recording, your Wrestle Heist trade paperback should be coming out soon. And then when this releases, it'll already be out. So go buy the damn book. Make our
Yeah,
man
it's good.
Kyle some money.
Yeah,
I'll
and
be
you know,
buying.
listen. I have a follow up. I was really not optimistic. I was realistic. I always think in one story. Like this is the story. I got another heist, guys. I would love to do one more. And I don't know how we're going to do that, but if the trade sells well, then maybe we self publish it. Like there's a way that we do it, and then Image puts it out as a full book later on. Who knows? I'd like to do one more, but we got to see the book move. We got to see some
There
movement,
you go.
guys. It has
I
to
would
be
love to
worth it.
see it. So if you're listening to this
Yeah.
interview, you've made it this far, go buy the book, for crying out loud.
Buy
the
the
book.
damn.
Help me
I
out,
know
Jesus.
for a fact my LCS has 3 of them ordered, and one of them's mine. So yeah, because I didn't,
We like that. I want to hear 10.
Let's get
Well,
those reorders in.
I need 10.
We got to sell through. Get them back in.
Well, I do know when I tried to buy the singles, they were all sold out. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
So then I had to buy mine on, digital.
I think the trade's going to sell out too because the order numbers were very low, and I'm very confident that word of mouth. I think people have been waiting for the trade, so that's going to be a thing though where they have to go back to print. How many months is it not available again? And then who cares because now we're so many months out. But I think that book's going to sell well for a long time. I think it'll be a good gift for people if you have wrestling friends or wrestling fans, or even someone's like, I love Mission Impossible. You go, but wait, what if Mission Impossible, but pro wrestlers?
I know I've recommended it to at least 10 people. So
Yeah, we love that. Thank you,
I'm
man.
trying.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah, trying. So with that,
Word of mouth is so important. Yeah. With that, continue. Don't mind me. I can talk forever. I'll never stop.
well, with that, I want to thank you for coming on to the show, and Chad, thanks for being the co-host.
Thanks for having me, dude.
And listen, I may not say a lot of words, but we're all here for the ride, baby. That's the point.
That's right.
And
And
again,
what a ride it was.
yeah, and again, thank you for being on the show, and thank you guys for listening. And as always, peace out, Cub Scouts.